Domestic workers in Indonesia, who are some of the most exploited and abused people in the country, may soon get better care and legal recognition. The government is speeding up deliberations on the Domestic Workers Protection Bill.
The bill has been in limbo in Parliament for nearly 2 decades. Saifulbahri Ismail tells us more about it as Indonesia marks today as National Domestic Workers Day.
This is what modern-day slavery looks like. It's a reenactment of the horror some domestic workers in Indonesia go through while working with their employers. This small group of domestic workers and activists are here in front of the House of Representatives every Wednesday morning. They're urging lawmakers to quickly pass the bill on the protection of domestic workers and not to delay it any longer. Unfortunately for Rizky, the violence she experienced wasn't an act, it was real. The 18-year-old was kicked, punched and beaten by her employers, an Indonesian couple living in Jakarta. But the worst was yet to come.
Kalau nyuci piringnya nggak bersih gitu, disuruh sama majikan istrinya ditelanjangi sambil divideoin, telanjang bulat gitu, disuruh tidur di balkon, lalu dia bawa air gula ya disiramin ke tubuh, lalu pintunya langsung dikunci gitu. Sampai pagi, keesokannya paginya dibuka gitu.
Activists say they received more than 3,200 complaints of violence against domestic workers since 2015. The bill to protect domestic workers is now a priority for the Indonesian government.
Untuk mempercepat penetapan Undang-Undang PPRT ini, saya perintahkan kepada Menteri Hukum dan Hak Asasi Manusia dan Menteri Ketenagakerjaan untuk segera melakukan koordinasi dan konsultasi dengan DPR dan dengan semua stakeholder.
Under the bill, employers who are guilty of violence against their domestic workers can face up to 8 years in jail. The bill also sets the minimum age of workers at 18. In addition, domestic workers and employers must enter into a contract in writing, setting out terms and conditions. They include salary and benefits, working hours, and rest days.
Bagus sekali menurut saya, karena kan kayak cuti kan ada 1 bulan, kayak ada yang 2 hari atau seminggu sekali. Itu kan kesepakatan antara ART dan majikan. Sedangkan di sekarang nggak ada. Terus nggak seenaknya sendiri ya mungkin majikan untuk memperlakukan ART gitu kan.
There are about 4 million domestic workers in Indonesia, and they do not have a legal protection because they are not recognized as formal workers. The bill on the protection of domestic workers also safeguards the interests of employers. For example, it identifies work categories to better manage employers' expectations.
Saya mau tahu background-nya, skill-nya apa gitu. Kalau Mbak kan dulu dibilang nggak bisa masak, udah nggak apa-apa, nggak bisa masak. Yang penting orangnya energik, yang bisa main sama anak saya. Karena saya yang paling penting itu sih, karena soalnya saya kerja, jadi nggak bisa terus-terusan main sama anak saya kan.
Worker advocates say the bill is similar to agreements which Indonesia insists with foreign governments when their citizens employ Indonesian migrant workers. Indonesia supplies thousands of its citizens every year to many countries, mostly working as domestic workers.
Artinya menjadi bargaining position ketika kita menuntut negara tujuan untuk melindungi bekerja ke rumah tangga kita sendiri, di dalam negeri juga harus ada aturannya.
The ball is now in the lawmakers' court to deliberate on the protection of domestic workers bill and pass it into law. Domestic workers are hopeful that after waiting nearly 20 years, the matter can be ironed out sooner rather than later. Saifulbahri Ismail, CNA, Jakarta.